bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
The agenda is agenda for change.
Yeah.
Agenda perubahan. Agenda for change. The perjuangan cannot be about personalities. Now, we should not reduce this perjuangan into a struggle for Anwar. Even Mandela went to jail for 27 years. It was not a campaign to free Mandela. Even though there were groups, the Free Mandela group. It was a campaign to end apartheid. It was to end apartheid, not to free Mandela. As much as Mandela was a catalyst, and I'm sure Mandela is a much larger figure than Anwar, by far, in terms of historical importance. Jewel in the crown is, of course, Selangor.
Correct.
Yeah? Now you look at Selangor. Are there many drastic changes in Selangor?
I don't think so.
The feedback I get from business people, and this is the yardstick we use from business. Corruption is the same. There's no reduction in corruption. People still have to pay under the table to get things done. And that's the most important thing we're fighting for, transparency, good governance. So we fail already on that score. Anwar, we complained to Anwar. We told Anwar, he says, look, people are not happy. The Selangor people, they're not happy. And don't assume you're going to take back Selangor or retain Selangor. Next election, there's a good chance Selangor is going to go back to Barisan because people are not happy. And Anwar's reply, and this is during a meeting. Anwar's reply, he says, the trouble with Khalid, ego. Tak mau dengar cakap, cannot control him. So he said, you appointed him, Menteri Besar. We are telling you Selangor's not performing. You are telling me you have a problem with him. And the problem is he's got an ego, he doesn't listen. So what are you going to do about it? You created the monster. What are you going to do about it? Don't complain about Khalid. Okay, he appointed himself as economic advisor. What's your advice? In the last 3 years, since you've been economic advisor, you've gone overseas 60 times. Because it is politically expedient to support Anwar. Because there's a possibility that we are going to form the next federal government. That's all. Yeah? But if we don't form the next federal government, then we got to wait another 5 years. Okay? Anwar will become irrelevant very, very fast. Very, very fast. Yeah? Now, can Pakatan form the next government? And therefore, continue with Anwar's relevancy? It will have to depend on Sabah Sarawak. You got 165 parliament seats in West Malaysia. Now, out of 165 parliament seats, how many can Pakatan win? 85? Okay? So say Pakatan wins 85, they grab the 5 MCA seats. Pakatan wins 85 parliament seats in West Malaysia, leaving Barisan only 80. And then 80 will be, 70 will be UMNO. Yeah? And only 10 for the others. MCA. Maybe MIC 0, maybe Gerakan 1. Yeah? So you have to go to Sabah Sarawak, which has 57, including Labuan. Now last election, Pakatan won only 2. And 55 Barisan. Now here, West Malaysia, last election you won 80. And then another 2 by-election, Kuala Terengganu and Bukit Gantang. So you add in a by-election, you can say lah 82. But you won 80 in West Malaysia. So from 80 to increase to 85 by taking away the 5 MCA seats from the... Okay lah. Yeah? It's a reasonable forecast. But you only won 2 in East Malaysia out of 57. 55 was won by Barisan. How many you expect to increase? You need 30. from East Malaysia. So 30 plus sini, 85, you get 115. Which means you only got 3 seat majority. Now, if 3 people jump, you lose the government. So ideally you need at least 10 or 15 seat majority. So which means you need to try to get at least what, 35 seats from East Malaysia. 35 plus this one, then you get 120. That's a comfortable margin. But how are you going to get 35 seats from East Malaysia? You only had 2 last election. To jump from 80 to 85 is reasonable, but to jump from 2 to 35, that's a bit too far, isn't it, to jump? Now, to get 35 seats from East Malaysia, you must have a strong coalition. What happened in the Sarawak state elections recently? DAP did very well. But that's it. That's it, because DAP only took the Chinese seats outside that. Habis. You know? They couldn't do it in the state election. What makes you think they can do it in the general elections? If you could have done it, you would have done it already. The fact that you were not able to do it means you can't do it. Sabah's in a mess.
Yeah.
So I don't see how from 2 seats you're going to increase to 35 in East Malaysia. Maybe you can increase it to 10. But if 10 plus this is still 95. That means you're not. Anwar project himself as a future leader only because Pakatan allows him to do so. So why does Pakatan allow that to happen? We are creating this impression, this fallacy, that there's only one man who can lead the opposition. DAP made a statement. Even if Anwar go to jail, we still support him. You're trying to say that there's nobody else? So the fault also lies with DAP, PAS. And Anwar goes round the country talking because he has got the party, you know, who appears to be accepting him and only him as the leader. And when a person like Zaid Ibrahim comes along and tries to offer himself as the alternative, that there are other people, they kill him off. They won't accept, you know. Anwar goes around the country talking, and he's good when it comes to drama and everything. But is that really a measurement of the people's support? How many elections, which I personally went, by-elections even, yeah, where the crowd is there, but when it comes to the votes, they don't have it. I speak to some people about when he was in government. They have pointed out a lot of things that he did. And I asked them, I said, okay, you know, Anwar has his shortcomings. Anwar also has his skeletons in the closet. Yet, you support Pakatan. Their answer is, what choice do we have? So it all boils down to that. What choice do we have? So, people are prepared to support Anwar purely because they see him as the only alternative to what we have now. Yeah, we always hear about evolutionary change as opposed to revolutionary change. In some countries, evolutionary change has to be put aside in favor of revolutionary change. But let's be practical. In Malaysia, I think a revolutionary change cannot work because of the racial balance. You can talk about it in Egypt, because Egypt, everybody's Egyptian. Every man on the street is Egyptian. In Malaysia, not the street is Malay. So this is more delicate. So I suppose for a country where it is not a multi-racial or a very multi-racial balance, you know, it's easier to achieve that kind of more militant way of changing. We have a very strong Chinese support base. So we know the feedback when we talk to them. They do not want Tahrir Square type of change. They made that very clear. But then if you were to merely embark on evolutionary change, as you say, small changes, I think it's time.
Najib grabbed the bull by the horns. If Najib is serious about wanting change, I think he's got to grab the bull by the horns and call a spade a spade. Okay. In Penang, they're fighting. DAP versus DAP. In Perak, they're fighting. DAP versus DAP. In Selangor, they're fighting. PKR versus PKR. PAS versus PAS. Johor, they're fighting. PKR versus DAP. Sarawak, they're fighting. No, we're not fighting Barisan. We're not fighting UMNO. We're fighting each other.
Yeah, correct.
Now, you think the voters are going to love you for that? In fact, the voters are now beginning to say, I think it's time we just go back to Barisan and forget about Pakatan. Now, that